One minute I'm pumping gas, the next I'm surrounded by cops. They think I'm guilty of something. What? The truth's darker than I ever expected, and it's about to get ugly. So my name's Marcus. I'm 22, work the graveyard shift at a gas station in the middle of nowhere. At least that's how it felt most of the time. I didn't expect much from the night. Just the usual. The clock reads 2:30 a.m. and it's dead quiet. Just me, some classic rock on the speakers, and the occasional car driving by. Life was simple until it wasn't. The first sign something was off was the cop car pulling up. Nothing unusual at first, cops stop by for gas all the time, but then another one pulls up right behind him, and then another. By the time I noticed, there were 3 cop cars parked by the pump and the whole vibe shifted. My heart skipped a beat. One of the cops, tall, white, looking like he hadn't slept in a week, gets out. He barely looks at me, just walks up to the pump and says, "Fill up my tank." I'm just standing there, not even thinking much about it, but then I get that gut feeling that something's about to go south. I'm not dumb. I know the game. Being black in America, you get good at reading the room, feeling the tension before it hits you in the face. So I start filling up his car, trying to keep it low-key, hoping this'll blow over. Then the other 2 cops step out. One of them's huge, built like a linebacker, and he just stands there, arms crossed, staring at me like I'm a suspect in some kind of crime I'm not even aware of. The third cop, a little shorter but looking pissed, comes up to me. "Step away from the car," he orders, his voice sharp, like I did something wrong. I freeze for a second. "What?" "I'm just filling up the damn tank, man," I say, trying to keep my cool, but as soon as the words leave my mouth, I see it. The look. It's the same one I've seen 100 times. Like I'm guilty of something, even though I'm just standing there trying to do my job. The linebacker cop steps closer. "You've been acting suspicious," he growls, like I'm some kind of criminal. My chest tightens. What the hell is this about? "Suspicious? For what?" I ask, trying to stay calm, but my hands are starting to shake. I can feel the heat rising. The night went from boring to tense as hell in the blink of an eye. The first cop, the one who started this whole mess, finally speaks up, his voice low and cold. "Shut up and step back." And before I know what's happening, they're on me, grabbing me, pulling me away from the car, like I'm some criminal they're about to cuff. I don't even get a chance to say anything else. My brain is still trying to catch up, but it's too late. I'm not in control anymore. I pull away instinctively, trying to break free, but they're too strong. I'm just a guy doing his job, trying to get by. But to them, I'm the problem. "Call it in," the short cop says, and I know right then this isn't going to end well. They start yanking my arms behind my back, slapping cuffs on me, and all I can think is, what did I even do? My head's spinning, my heart's racing. I try to stay calm, but it's hard when you're just trying to breathe, and it feels like the world's closing in around you. I'm just a guy trying to get through the night, but apparently that's all it takes. So there I was, minding my own business, just filling up the first cop's car when the mood in the air shifted. The silence was broken by the screech of another police car pulling up behind me, then another. 3 cop cars, all in a row. At this point, I had a sinking feeling in my gut. Something was off. The first cop, a tall guy who looked like he hadn't slept in days, steps out. He doesn't even glance at me, just walks up to the pump, points to his car, and says, "Fill it up." Simple, right? But I'm starting to feel the heat building. As I'm doing my thing, the other 2 cops get out. One of them's massive, built like a linebacker, and he just stands there, arms crossed, staring at me like I'm the most suspicious thing on the planet. The third cop, a little shorter, comes up close. "Step away from the car," he orders, voice sharp. I'm thinking, what the hell? I'm just filling up the tank. But the way he says it, I know it's not just about the gas. I can feel the vibe shift. Suspicious? For what? I try to keep my voice steady, but honestly, I'm starting to get pissed. They're looking at me like I've done something wrong. Like I'm already guilty of something I didn't even know about. The linebacker cop steps forward. "You've been acting suspicious," he growls. My chest tightens. What does that even mean? "Suspicious? Dude, I'm just doing my job," I snap back. But it's no use. The first cop, the one who started this whole mess, finally speaks. "Shut up and step back," he orders. And just like that, they're on me, pulling me away from the car like I'm some kind of criminal. I don't even get a chance to say anything else. Before I can even process it, they've got me by the arms. I pull away instinctively, trying to break free, but they're stronger. It's like I'm some kind of threat, and I'm not even sure why. "Call it in," the short cop says. And that's when I know this is real. This isn't just a misunderstanding. I'm about to be cuffed for something I didn't do. I can feel my head spinning, heart racing. I try to stay calm, but all I can think is, what the hell is going on? The moment they slapped the cuffs on me, everything shifted. The world turned cold, quiet, and suddenly I wasn't just some guy doing his job, I was the problem. I could feel it in the way they were handling me, like I was some kind of threat. Their hands were rough, like they were waiting for me to fight back. "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" I shouted, trying to yank my arm free. But they just ignored me, dragging me away from the pump as if I didn't even exist. The big guy, the linebacker, looked at me like I was a bug he was about to crush. "You're not going anywhere," he said, his voice low and threatening. His eyes were like lasers, cold and calculating, like I'd already been found guilty. "Seriously, man, this is nuts," I said, my heart pounding. I could feel sweat starting to bead on my forehead. I was trying to keep my cool, but it was getting hard. This was not supposed to happen. The third cop, the short one, pulled out his radio. "Call it in. We need backup." I froze. Backup? What the hell for? Backup for what? You're seriously calling for backup? I couldn't believe it. Was this really happening? The tall cop, who had barely said a word before, finally spoke. "Just shut up and let us do our job," he muttered, not even looking at me. His eyes were scanning the parking lot as if he expected trouble to pop up any second. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I hadn't done anything. Just filling up a damn tank, and now they were treating me like I was the criminal they were hunting. My stomach was twisted in knots, and I knew this wasn't going to end well. By the time the backup arrived, everything had escalated faster than I could process. Sirens were blaring in the distance, getting louder with each passing second. The sound of those flashing red and blue lights creeping closer felt like the start of some nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Another cop car pulled in, followed by two more. At this point, there were enough officers around me to start a small army. I stood there, hands cuffed, heart racing, feeling like a damn fool for thinking I could just do my job and go home. But no. Apparently I was the main event now. The big guy, the linebacker, came up to me, smirking. "You like being a hero, huh? Thought you could play tough with us?" His voice was low, taunting, like he was enjoying this whole mess way too much. I shook my head, trying to stay calm. "What the hell are you talking about, man? I'm just trying to do my job. You're making a big deal out of nothing." But he wasn't listening. He stepped closer, his face inches from mine, practically daring me to make a move. "You're gonna regret running your mouth. Trust me." Before I could say anything else, one of the new officers, a younger guy, maybe in his 20s, walked up with a clipboard and a smug look on his face. "What's the deal, Sergeant?" he asked, eyeing me like I was some kind of perp. The sergeant, the tall, tired one, gave a quick, dismissive wave. "Keep your distance. This guy's trouble." I didn't know if I wanted to laugh or cry. "Trouble?" I repeated. "Man, you've got it all wrong. I'm just here, doing my job, minding my business." But no one was listening. The young cop glanced at me, his eyes narrowing. "Well, maybe you're in the wrong place at the wrong time." Wrong place at the wrong time? I couldn't even. What the hell did that even mean? I took a deep breath, trying to keep my cool. I wasn't about to beg for their mercy or explain myself again. It was clear they had their minds made up. "Whatever, man," I muttered, my chest tight. "You're just going to keep dragging this out for no reason." And just like that, they started pushing me toward one of the cop cars. It was like they had forgotten I was a person. Like they didn't care. I realized then, this was bigger than me. It wasn't about what I'd done or hadn't done. It was about them, flexing their power. And I was caught in the middle. They shoved me toward the squad car, and I could feel all their eyes on me, like I was some kind of trophy. The big guy leaned in, smirking, like he'd just won something. "Bet you think you're smart, huh? Bet you think you can talk your way out of this." I shot him a look, biting my tongue. "Smart enough to know you're making a big mistake," I muttered, but I knew it didn't matter. They weren't here for the truth. They were here to flex. The younger cop, clipboard still in hand, snorted. "Big mistake? Yeah, we'll see about that." He scribbled something down like my words were just noise to him. As they opened the door to the squad car, I twisted my head around, trying to find anyone who might step in, say something, ask a damn question. But the station was dead quiet. Just the hum of the pumps and the distant echo of sirens. "Get in!" the short cop barked, shoving me forward. "What's the charge?" I asked, finally snapping. "What the hell am I even being arrested for?" They didn't even answer. The sergeant just muttered under his breath, "You'll find out soon enough." His tone made it clear I wasn't going to like the answer, whatever it was. Sitting in the back seat of that squad car, cuffs digging into my wrists, I realized this wasn't about justice. It was about control. About making sure I knew my place. They drove me down to the station like I was some dangerous criminal, the whole ride dead silent except for the occasional click of the turn signal. By the time they slammed the door behind me and shoved me into a cold, sterile interrogation room, I knew the deal. This wasn't about a misunderstanding. This was personal. The same short cop who'd been the loudest all night tossed a chair in front of me and sat down like he was about to lecture a kid who'd skipped school. So you want to explain yourself, or are we just going to sit here and waste time? I just stared at him, trying to keep my face calm. I don't know what you're talking about, I said, voice steady, despite the adrenaline pumping through my veins. You still haven't told me what I'm being arrested for. The cop rolled his eyes. Don't play dumb, kid. You think you can stand there all innocent, act like you didn't do anything? You're on my radar now. I wanted to snap back, but I knew better. Radar? For what? Filling up a damn gas tank? His smirk was cold, sharp. That's the thing about you people. He leaned in closer, voice low, but dripping with venom. You always think you're the victim, huh? Always got some excuse. But guess what? We've got a lot more on you than just a gas pump. I felt the heat rise in my chest. You people. That phrase hit me like a slap to the face, but I kept it cool because I knew this wasn't the time to lose it. Yeah, and what exactly do you think you've got on me? I shot back, still trying to hold my ground. He grinned, standing up. Just wait, you'll see. It's only a matter of time before we crack you. And just like that, he was out the door, leaving me with nothing but my thoughts and a cold, empty room. The tension was suffocating. The only thing I could do was sit there and wait for the storm to hit. The room felt like a furnace, the air thick with tension as I sat there alone. I don't know how long it had been, but time felt like it was moving in slow motion. My mind was racing, trying to piece together what had gone wrong, what they were after. Was this a setup? Or was it just a shitty case of bad luck? Either way, it felt like the walls were closing in on me. Finally, the door creaked open, and in walked the same short cop from before. This time, he wasn't so smug. His face was all business, no more sneering or sarcasm. We've got something, he said, his voice flat. But you're gonna need to start talking if you want to get out of here. I raised an eyebrow. Talking? I already told you I didn't do anything. He leaned in, his eyes sharp as knives. You think you're gonna pull that I'm innocent routine and walk out of here? Newsflash, that doesn't work. You're on my time now, and I'm getting tired of your attitude. I wasn't backing down. I wasn't some scared kid who'd bend the knee. I'm not talking until you tell me what the hell I'm being charged with, I shot back, my voice cold. I'm not some patsy for you to mess with. He stared at me for a moment, then let out a low chuckle. You're not getting the point, kid. I don't need you to talk. We've got everything we need to make this stick. But here's the thing. Cooperate, and maybe we'll go easy on you. Resist, and it'll get ugly. Your choice. I clenched my fists, fighting the urge to snap. I wasn't about to cave. You want to make it ugly? Fine by me. But I'll tell you one thing. I didn't do anything wrong. The cop smirked, clearly not buying it. Keep telling yourself that. You'll be begging to talk soon enough. And just like that, he left again, leaving me with that sinking feeling in my gut. My mind raced, trying to figure out what their next move would be. Whatever they had on me, I knew I was in deep. And the worst part? I had no idea how to get out of this mess. Hours dragged by. My head was pounding, my body aching from sitting in the same cold metal chair. The clock on the wall ticked louder than ever, mocking me. What were they waiting for? Was it the game of patience? Who knew? Then the door opened again. This time it was the big guy, the linebacker. He walked in with a couple of papers in his hands, but there was no smug grin on his face now. He looked like he'd been through hell himself. He threw the papers down on the table in front of me. Here's the deal, Marcus, he said, his voice much less aggressive now, almost tired. We got you on some serious stuff, but we're willing to cut you a break. I raised an eyebrow. Cut me a break? For what? He sighed, shaking his head. You don't want to know, but we're not looking to put you away. We just need you to talk. That's it. Help us, and this whole mess can be over in a day. I felt my chest tighten. This was the part I'd been dreading. Being played. Help you with what? I asked, forcing the words out. He leaned in close, his eyes narrowing. With who you're working for. We know you're mixed up in something bigger than you. And if you don't come clean, it's not just going to be this station that's in trouble. It's you, your family, everyone you care about. I felt the words hit like a punch to the gut. He was trying to manipulate me, make me crack. But I wasn't about to break, not like this. You don't know shit, I spat. I'm just a gas station attendant, man. You got nothing on me. He stood up, face hardening. Keep lying and see how long you can keep your mouth shut. You're out of time, Marcus. And just like that, he was gone. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and I couldn't shake it. What if they were right? What if I was in over my head? I had to figure out what the hell was really going on, and fast.